Hi, and welcome to another episode of Poop Isn't the Only Way You Get Pink Eye
Ooh, in
in
5.
5D. And I learned that by experience, one that I would not rather repeat. But yeah, I went camping, got pink eye. Don't really want to talk about it. Just saying.
I think it's got to be partially like a locked up in COVID too long thing too. Because remember, I got strep throat without ever being around people, and literally no one else I knew, including my wife, got strep throat.
Your mail or packages. Someone coughed on it. That's the only other thing I can think of.
Do you know what I really think it was? Truly, because even the doctor I talked to was like, "Are you around kids much?" And I was like, "I'm around kids never." And he was like, "Yeah, most people get strep throat from kids." And I was like, "Well, nope." What I really think, the beers that I buy I get them from this aggregate place, and they come from breweries all over the U.S. I bet you somebody fucking coughed or sneezed or did something awful to the top of a beer can that I sat there and drank off of.
I legitimately don't know if that's how it works because I don't know how viruses survive on certain surfaces.
If it's refrigerated, it's nice and cool. It's gonna last a little bit longer.
Maybe for some it might just kill them.
Cool, not frozen. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Different temperature, different. But it's the best I can figure because what the fuck else would I have been around?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? Like you talk to your neighbors, you never know.
I'm gonna talk to those fuckers.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump right into it because we're getting close to it being the end of the series, and I want to talk about this latest episode. Loki. Did you watch the fourth episode?
Yes.
Okay. What a twist.
So you're coming through a little quiet, just a little.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, I was being blasted through on my recording, so I turned my mic down. But I guess.
Yeah, just up a little bit.
How about there?
That's better.
Okay. Maybe I'll just not yell, but that's how I talk.
Yeah, I watched so the fourth and the fifth episode, I believe, are both up. We got one more left.
Oh yeah. Fifth. I meant fifth. I said fourth.
Okay.
I'm bad at this.
Okay.
Clearly. Okay. So spoilers, obviously, for everyone that's followed this far on the series. That twist about I guess it's not that twist, but the people turning from the TVA. That was interesting.
Yep, that was a lot of fun. And I liked a lot of the deep cuts nods that they made in this episode.
I like that, and I also like that they explained it, or I think they pulled it off really well. Obviously, it wasn't the biggest twist of the episode, but we're starting small, everybody. I like how they pulled it off. It wasn't that like they immediately turned and decided that they were gonna fucking like throw down. There were questions. There were like it wasn't just an immediate switch all of a sudden, right? Like you have this agent who's believed a thing for their entire life, and they very much got them there. I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
Other things that I like. I like how Hiddleston is playing off the actual acting portion where Loki has these almost personal epiphanies. But what I'm really loving out of his performance is that right after he portrays that, he really clearly sells the brushing it off.
Right. He's Loki. He can't admit to that. So put that away.
And I just think his acting is spot on. He's totally communicating that. I'm super into it. I didn't think, and spoiler, I didn't think I was going to be as upset to see Agent Mobius go, but he ended up growing on me.
Well, he's back now.
Really?
Are you sure you watched episode fucking 5?
I'm pretty sure. Okay, because there weren't any more available to me. The last Loki episode ended with Loki getting nuked, and then
You have not seen episode 5. God damn it! You've seen episode 4.
Really? I swear to God, I sat there and I tried to watch them all today.
Yeah.
Then my Disney Plus must be broken. I was without internet for like a week. It was awful and I hated it.
Yep. So when I'm talking about all the deep cuts, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I thought
you didn't.
I thought
You
it
didn't
was
get
some
to
of the
see
references.
President Loki. You didn't get to see Throg. You didn't get to see. Yeah, no, there's. And all literally the things I'm saying give away nothing about the plot. It's all
That's
just
fine.
stuff that's in
That's
there.
fine. No, I'm
Yeah,
still
no,
gonna watch the
you
next
were
episode.
once again behind.
I saw the I guess episode 4 after end credits. So I knew that there was more, and I did see the other versions of Loki, so I knew that there was more coming. So you're not really spoiling that, but
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. I just know that
I can't say anything now.
no, that's fair. No, you can say whatever you want. We're talking about it now.
I mean, do you really want me to spoil the whole episode?
Not the whole episode, but give it a nice review.
Um,
I'm gonna watch it.
Loki across the post-apocalyptic plains. This episode 5 really hammered home something I said on the last one that you apparently didn't agree with, and I think is just becoming more and more blatant and more talked about. But this is absolutely Marvel's take on a Doctor Who.
Okay.
They're absolutely doing a Doctor Who type of story. Like, you know, it's not an allegory. It's not Coke to Pepsi or anything. It's more just that feeling. You know, it's got that same spice blend that Doctor
Okay.
Who has in it. And this next episode, I honestly between
So you're thinking
3 and 5. It's very Doctor Who.
so you're thinking more like Star Wars was inspired by some of the
Seven Samurai and
exactly. So like something like that, more inspired by
no, I'd say it's a little closer than I mean really honestly, it is the time and space hopping, incredibly grand, overly like flat out ridiculous at points. Not only do we deal with a character whose morals are something similar and close to human, but still uniquely its own, we also deal with different iterations and versions and interpretations of the same character. It's got a lot of the Doctor Who formula stitched directly into it.
Okay. I guess I wasn't going along with it mostly because it just storytelling wise I felt like there's a lot of shows that are obviously inspired by Doctor Who or anything, right? Like name any Ray Bradbury, any of that stuff. It was just more like I hate it when folks go and be like, no, it's just like this other thing.
You know, I wouldn't say it's this isn't like a Doctor Who ripoff. You know what I mean? This isn't the Transmogrifiers, but it is very much them telling that kind of story. It's very much inspired by that thing where WandaVision was a love story to television sitcoms throughout the ages. I would say Loki actually kind of works as a love story to a Doctor Who, a sci-fi fantasy epic, if you will. And it has a lot of that DNA stitched into it. And again, I think once you see 5, you might see a little more of what I'm talking about. Though I thought 3 kind of hammered it home pretty well too. But episode 5 throws in some deep cut lore. Really firmly establishes what the outcome of this story is going to be, and has a couple of really great character portrayals that get brought up in it as well. Some really fun moments, a lot more work with Sylvie, who I'm starting to really enjoy as a character. Yeah, you really need to see episode 5.
Okay, well, I'm completely lost then because I swear to you, I sat there. I watched other things, and speaking of other things, that's the other thing I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I watched it, and Disney Plus was like, go watch this other thing. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're done with episodes. It lied.
Nope. Nope.
It lied. I feel betrayed. Yeah, but Disney Plus doesn't give a shit. They're making bank off this stuff.
They don't care.
Anyways, so the second thing I watched is Monsters at Work. And for folks who don't know what that is it is a direct continuation from Monsters Inc. It isn't. It's basically a sequel in a series because the day that, well, sort of, the day that the the monsters seal the door for Boo and all that. That is the exact same day that this series starts. The overall story is that so there is a the main character, but Tyler. I think
Sure.
it's Tyler. He's a monster who just graduated from Scare College. I know this sounds ridiculous. Bear with me. And he got hired on, got a recommendation letter, an offer letter to Monsters Inc., the company that that now has realized that scaring children isn't the best way to get energy, making them laugh. So here's a person who's had to study to do this one thing really well, which was scaring children, that now has to completely change his game without even stepping foot into the institution that he worked his entire life for. College and all that. So it's definitely a lot more involved, the plot line, than a children's show, but it's very Pixar in that way.
Right.
What I like is it just feels like more Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I had a problem with is the guy who's voicing the main character pretty much only plays this character. So he's the same guy who was in Superstore, and really
Okay.
he's playing the same thing that he played in Superstore, where he was this dude who went to college and did everything right, and then kind of just had like one slip up, and now he's slumming it with the folks at the Walmart equivalent, and that's sort of essentially what's happening here.
Yeah, because he gets placed into what is it?
Maintenance,
MIFT.
myth, yeah,
Monsters Inc. facilities team, and a quirky boss and an ensemble of other little characters.
I even some of the other characters with him very much reminded me of the characters from Superstore.
I've only seen a couple episodes in passing of Superstore, so I only
It's actually
remember.
really fun.
I remember seeing a whole season, but not paying attention to it. It was background in a video game, so I don't remember
Sure.
any of the story. But yeah, I remember that there were a couple of things that were fun. There were a couple of really dumb gags, but yeah, some of the episodes killed me. But anyways, so the Monsters at Work. I like that they still have the characters from Monsters Inc. involved.
With all the real voices.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a cheap spin-off, which a lot of these kinds of things do. Especially like when you have a film and then all of a sudden you go and they're like, oh, there's this like the Lilo and Stitch cartoon and things like that. It always feels like it's just not the same.
Yeah,
so I
the
like
Lilo
that.
and Stitch cartoon was okay.
It was okay.
It wasn't the worst example.
No, not at all. But it was definitely like
That'd be Tailspin.
Yeah, Tailspin.
Had nothing to do with Jungle Book.
Yeah, not a goddamn thing. But no, this is good. I like that it's a continuation. I like the writing. The humor's still there. I can tell that the humor is the same, but I've grown up a bit, I guess, because some of it doesn't hit like it did when I first saw the movie.
Right.
But I'm a grown up. I understand.
I'm
yeah.
an adult.
So I can't really think of any negatives per se.
And it's also only got 2 episodes, so you've seen 2 episodes. I've only
Yeah.
seen the first one. I mean, kind of same page. I thought it was cute. My only downside was I'm getting heavy, like, Superstore vibes, and I'm like, well, I already watched that show. Do I need to watch the children's version of it? But I'll definitely check out more. It hasn't done anything that would make me not watch it yet.
Okay.
And I really do like the original Monsters Inc. Monsters University was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate
see
it.
Monsters University. I just didn't have faith.
It's on Disney Plus.
Well, I guess I could go watch it now. Not like right now, but like later.
No.
now.
Just stop recording this. Go watch it now.
Bye.
Yeah, like I don't know. This will probably be fine.
Yeah,
Sure, it's fine.
I'm sure. I was surprised that it was that good. I wouldn't have talked about it if it was mediocre. Because
I'm glad they didn't do the Osmosis Jones, Jackie Chan animated series things where they get like a sound alike and replace them. Like, no, it's really John Goodman and oh my god, why am I blanking on his Billy Crystal? Jennifer Tilly's really back.
Yeah,
it's yeah.
I'm all for it. I think that's great. To be fair though, Jackie Chan Adventures was bomb.
No, Jackie Chan Adventures was dope, but like you already got Jackie Chan to sit there and do the "Hey Kids" announcement at the beginning and end of every episode. Why isn't he just voicing Jackie Chan?
I have I have to imagine that because he was too busy doing other things.
Bro, you can knock out a whole season of voice recording in a week.
Guess that's true. I don't know, man. It's. I'm sure.
I mean, shit. He only has to record "Bad Day, Bad Day, Bad Day" once, and there's half of every episode.
One more thing.
Yumo guai guai fi pizza. Yeah, it's good times,
dude. Anyways, classic. But yeah, Monsters at Work. Check it out.
Yeah.
Have your kids check it out. Whatever. It's pretty good.
Do it.
All right. So one next thing that we want to talk about, because it's kind of a big thing, because it's technically deferred, but they're doing it at home again. Oh well, that was the wrong one. Look at me doing nothing good. Hold on, I will find it. That one, haha. Comic-Con at home. I've been out of the loop, so I have no idea what's happening. Tell us all about it, though.
So unfortunately, it's a lot like it was. Fortunately, unfortunately, it's a lot like it was last year. I think had they just had a little bit more foresight, we probably could have had Comic-Con regular this year. But we're not getting that. We're getting Comic-Con at home instead. So it's going to be a bunch of pre-canned, pre-recorded videos that would take the place of whatever panels you would get at Comic-Con. But it is, it's a halfway decent lineup, I think. Like, there's stuff that I'll definitely, throw on in the background while I'm working, or, replace whatever I'm watching throughout the week, and watch some of this stuff instead.
Anything you looking forward to?
Sort of yes, sort of no. I had my hopes up on a lot of stuff last year, and a lot of the stuff that I was like really looking forward to was kind of crap, and a lot of the stuff that I was just trying out because I was like, oh, I have an empty block here, I'll just throw something on, ended up being really great. Like, this is where I found out about the Comics Experience website, where I'm now doing a lot of my comic review and writing and all that stuff on there. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for stuff like that. Of course, the first pass I did, I was mostly looking for like show announcements or, talks with casts, voice actor stuff. And there is some of that coming up that looks pretty good. But for the most part, there's nothing that I'm like straight up on the hype train for. I can probably scroll through really quick. The next season of Dragon Prince, going inside the creative process on that, should be really fun.
Oh, I remember that one. That was a pretty fun panel.
Yeah, and Dragon Prince is a great show. HBO Max and Cartoon Network Studios doing Adventure Time Distant Lands. We got one more episode of that after the heart-wrenching Finn and Jake episode that I think fucking killed all of the hardcore fans. We're going to do one more episode in Wizard City, mostly looking at Simon, formerly the Ice King, and Peppermint Butler, going through and doing all of that. Let's see. Just like I said, I'm going to do a quick scroll through and just see anything that pops up. VHS 94, for anybody who's a fan of the horror series, the horror movie VHS. They're doing a new VHS movie called VHS 94. I'm personally really looking forward to that. Duncanville's getting a panel. I've been a big fan of that show since it came out. Kind of just a fun animated series that kind of, I don't know, came out of nowhere and is one of those ones that, like, their big jokes don't land as hard as the subtle, quick jokes that they do, and the fucking quick jokes floor me in that show. So really looking forward to that. There's, of course, a Rick and Morty one. I remember there Kevin Smith's new He-Man series is going to get a...
is that any good, or has that even launched?
It's not out yet. It's not out yet.
That's what I thought, but because I remember him talking about this like 2 Comic-Cons ago.
Mm-hmm.
So God,
animation takes a long time.
Damn, it's been in
animation takes
forever.
A very long time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and another one I'm excited about because I think Shudder must have bought the rights, or they're just getting a very similar name and might get sued. But Shudder is going to be releasing Slasher: Flesh and Blood, which is an anthology series from Shudder, but there is a Canadian slasher TV show, kind of like an American Horror Story, where every season it's a new thing. But it's all about, like, it's very 80s, 90s masked killers. Like, think Scream, but as an anthology series about a new masked killer each season.
Okay.
Slasher was really good, and I'm hoping this is Shudder getting the rights and can excuse me, continuing what they did with that.
Okay, cool. Versus
They're gonna do
revival.
versus just like something else with a similar name.
Okay.
And one thing that I actually suppose that I didn't have you grab a graphic for, but I did watch, and I'm going to watch the next one. But the Fear Street movies just launched, and Comic Con at Home is going to be doing a panel on the 3 Netflix Fear Street movies.
Oh, I need to watch those. I didn't realize, dude. So many things while I was
only
gone.
The first one is out. Well, okay. Sorry, the second. Well, only the first one was out. The second one is now out.
Okay.
And then I think the third one is out this Friday.
Oh, okay. That's interesting that they staggered them.
Yeah, but I mean, they kind of wanted to separate them out, give each one some time to breathe, because while they're all part of the same thing, they are individual stories. It's actually a little bit like Nailbiter. It's a town that, because of reasons, breeds all these serial killers, and it keeps happening to this town over and over. I saw a lot of reviews on the first movie. A lot of people really shitting on it. But what I'm gathering from the reviews is that people really didn't understand the audience that this show was trying to reach. This isn't fucking Saw. It's a young adult horror series based on books by R.L. Stein.
Yeah,
like a lot of
more
reviews
like
I'm seeing
a
are
Sabrina.
I mean, like there's straight up murder, so it's a little darker than that.
That's
but
true.
But you know, you're not far off. You're not drastically far off. And a lot of the reviews I'm seeing people write are like, "Oh man, this is such like paint by numbers crap, and it's not even scary." And I'm like, "Yeah,
it's basically a Goosebumps movie, you sons of bitches."
But like a little older, like Goosebumps was elementary school. This is like middle school, freshman year.
Yeah, correct.
That's the difference here. But yeah, so I watched the first one. I liked it, but again, I knew what I was getting into coming into it, and had a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to the second one. So that panel is going to be happening. Another one that I thought was interesting, because I actually hadn't heard that this show was getting made, and I feel like this is one of those ones that's just sort of like me and Jay are really going to get into this show, maybe. So HBO Max and Warner Brothers are going to be doing a new show called Jellystone. And it's Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Jabberjar, and Top Cat. All of your favorite Hanna-Barberas are in an all-new animated series called Jellystone. So it's kind of like an even bigger throwback than like Looney Tunes revivals have been, where we're doing like classic Hanna-Barbera, but set up in a new show.
Yeah.
I could really get into that. That could be a lot of fun. And you know me in modern animation, I'll give most stuff a try at this point.
No, yeah, for sure. I've stopped watching animated shows, not for any particular reason. It's just the stuff I've been interested in.
Because you're a piece of shit. I get it. Go
on. No, honestly, it's because I started to go back and rewatching Evangelion, and it's kind of taken up my my animation slot for
new Evangelion show coming out.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but I'll watch it because I'm a whore for that property.
So also, new season of Creepshow is going to get a first look at Comic Con at Home. Just, you know, it's what you can... If you found any joy in the Comic Con at Home stuff from last year, it's worth checking out what they have this year. The full schedule is up. Yeah, they have a quick link to Google Calendar, anything you're interested in, so you can get the alert on it. And if you didn't give Comic-Con at Home a try last year, I don't know, give it a shot. Like, some of the stuff was really, like, it's fun background noise. Throw it on while you're cooking. If you work the kind of job where you can kind of listen to something while you work, it's worth throwing on. But if you were not impressed by it last year, unfortunately, I don't think this year is really going to hold anything special for you this year.
I think I'm going to try it out this year. We'll see. Because last year it happened when I was at my old company.
Yeah.
And very little time for that. I mean, I still don't have that kind of time. But I'm you know, I stop at a reasonable hour now.
Well, and, you know, as long as you're not in meetings, if you're actively working on something, again, it makes great background noise, because really it's a panel. It's some people talking and answering questions, and occasionally you look over and go, oh, that's a pretty still that they put up or something, you know?
Sure.
And then they also have the full exhibitor list up, so it does seem like the exhibitors are still getting a chance to put up a digital storefront or, excuse me, a link to their page and some exclusives from each one.
Okay.
So if you are looking for, some exclusives or just kind of drop some cash and help support some of the booths that you're used to seeing at Comic-Con, you do still have the chance to log on online and do
Ooh, I
something
wonder if
with that.
Manola is doing something because I used to like to
You
grab
mean
a.
Magnola? His name
Did
is not Manila.
I didn't say Manila.
You kind of did. It may not be how you meant it to come out of your
I was like,
face, but
I
it's
know
how
what
the speakers picked it up.
I know Manila, obviously.
It came out Manila.
Okay, well, anyways, the author of Hellboy. I wonder if he's gonna have a
Yep.
storefront.
I'm not. I'm actually. I just happen to have stopped on the M's, and I'm not seeing either under because luckily his name is MM. I'm not seeing it under Mike or under Magnola.
Well then, yeah. What
Oh, but maybe
crazy?
it's under Hellboy. Maybe
Maybe
it's not. I
it's
scrolled
not.
up. It's not.
That's funny.
So there's
But yeah. Anywho, I'm gonna check a couple of them out this year.
yeah,
Have someone talk about.
yeah, yeah.
So speaking of Shudder, there's some shit you've been watching on there as well, right?
I've been watching a lot of stuff on Shudder. I'm gearing up for October. I'm getting my
Uh,
horror on.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Do you hate Halloween less now? Is that what we're doing?
No, I don't give a shit about Halloween. Halloween sucks, but I still think it's a great season to watch horror movies because other people are in the mood to watch them with you.
Oh, that's fair. Summer's hot. We don't want Christmassy shit.
Yeah.
All right. What have you been watching?
Fuck Halloween. Okay, so the first one up, and this one again, it's one of those ones where I feel like the rating on it is very low, 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and even on
Okay.
Shudder, I think it only holds a 2 or a 3 out of 5. But it's one of those ones where I feel like people are letting their own personal opinion get in the way of judging art. And when I say personal opinion, I don't mean like I don't like this film. I mean it's a lot of people going like I don't like what I feel like this person is trying to talk about. So the first one is
Okay.
Lucky.
Okay.
2020's Lucky, written by and starring Bria Grant. For the one thing that I know her from really heavily is Heroes. She played the first speedster that we had in Heroes and kind of befriends Hero and Ondo. But she was also in a show called The East Siders. She was in The Real Housewives of Horror. Something called Game Shop. She played Chloe. She was in Dexter as Ryan Chambers. She was in The Guild, playing herself. So she's been around the film and television circuit. I actually really like her. She's done a few horror movies now, and basically Lucky, the movie Lucky, is all about one day this girl is just or this woman is living her life. She's a writer, sort of like of self-help business books. And this dude breaks into her house and she wakes up her husband and she's like, dude, some guy broke into the house. And he goes, yeah, it's the guy who breaks into the house every night and tries to kill us. It's fine. And so they go and they slam the dude over the head with a golf club and kill him. And the minute she freaks out and talks to her husband and turns back around, his body is gone. And her husband gets mad at her that she's like overreacting and that she's just, really freaking out. And he leaves the house and doesn't come back for most of the rest of the film. And then every night after that, this guy breaks in, she kills him, and then his body disappears. The cops come, they investigate, they can't find any blood on it. And then slowly it's sort of about her dealing with this, her sort of descent into madness, her sort of figuring out what's happening and what's going on. I will say, if you're somebody who really needs closure in your horror films, this probably won't do it for you. The end is one of those almost Inception kind of endings where they do a thing at the end and you go, okay, but then what's really happening? It's one of those where, for me, that works. And especially in horror, for me personally, I don't like closure. I don't like absolutes. I don't like anything like I like my horror to kind of be part mystery. The
Yeah.
less you understand, the scarier something is. But look, here's what most people complained about with this film. The film very much works as an allegory for the trials and tribulations of being a woman in modern society, and how every day something is trying to get you.
Okay.
Whether physically, whether emotionally, whether literally or metaphorically, something is trying to get you and kill a part of you. Okay. A lot of people called this bullshit feminist SJW horseshit. And while I guess I don't disagree with maybe that sort of being the point, I would actually argue that because of what happens in the film, because of the resolution they come to, and so minor spoiler, I'll get to that resolution in just a second. It will be a spoiler, but bear with me. But because of that, and then because of just sort of the ending and the tone of that ending, I would actually argue that this isn't like a wake up and take action kind of film. This was more just somebody explaining their own emotion and trauma. This was somebody just saying, here's how this feels to me. And so I didn't need to agree with the message or sympathize with the message or understand the message. I took the film as just somebody sort of explaining their worldview. And with that, you don't need to like it. This is just how somebody feels.
It's an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the artist's depiction of their own struggle. This doesn't mean that it's fact. This doesn't mean that you have to believe it. That doesn't mean that
or that it's even every single person.
Exactly. You don't even have to agree with it, but you can't say that's not true because you can't like tell people how they're feeling.
And unfortunately, the majority of reviews I'm seeing are like, fuck this SJW bullshit. And again, I just don't think it carried a message of change because, it's a huge spoiler here. Huge spoiler. If this sounds like something you want to check out, just mute for the next minute or two while I just go over sort of the ending of this film. Now, okay, so the ending of the film, basically a detective tells her, like, well, you remember where this all started. You were in this parking garage and you felt very uncomfortable, and that's where it all started. And so she goes back to the parking garage and she starts running into other women and girls that she knows and things like that, and they all have their own masked killer who is hunting them, and some of them are fighting him off, some of them are being killed. And finally she grabs her friend because her friend's like, we have to stop, we have to help them, we have to save these women. And she goes, no, you don't get it. It's not gonna matter. We can fight back, we can do all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just going to come back and they're just going to try and kill us. It's up to you. You need to go, you need to fight your battle, and it's either going to kill you or it's not. Just go. And she watches her friend get killed, and she runs home and she fights off her killer one more time, and her husband comes home, but then the killer kills her husband, and she unmasks the killer. And the killer is her husband. But then his face changes, and he is the police chief. And then his face changes, and it's her assistant. And then his face changes, and it's somebody else. And then it just ends. It ends right there with the killer's face changing. And so the message wasn't this political, social, we all need to rise up and take action. It was about personal struggle. And for that, I don't think I could at least call this an SJW film, women's right feminist film. This was just about one person and her struggle with her daily life, with the world trying to kill her.
Yeah, with how she's perceiving her reality.
You know, this is probably kind of a left field roundabout way, but very similarly, the first comic that I wrote, it was all about a guy going on a date, having stomach pain, and then shitting out spiders until a demon ripped his way out of its ass. A lot of people are going, okay, wait, how does this relate? Bear with me. Really, what that comic was, is it was just sort of me putting into a horror visual my troubles with my own stomach. I have a really bad stomach. I've had a bad stomach for years. I deal with a lot of stomach pain. A lot of food really sets me off. So this allegory of like spiders and demons and horrors from my stomach and the way it affects my life, and you know, that's what that was. And that's what this is. This is just somebody putting their pain to a painting, putting a visual behind an emotional representation. And I really do feel like calling it a bunch of SJW feminist bullshit. I really feel like people missed the mark on what they were seeing. They saw a woman talking about struggle and decided that this was a political piece, and I disagree. I really feel like Lucky is an emotional piece. I really strongly suggest it, and again, I think even if you take it that way, that ending is going to kill it for a lot of people, because a lot of people really want a definitive ending, and this doesn't give that to you. But if you can enjoy a non-definitive ending, and you can view it as somebody describing their emotions and their life, really, really solid horror film. A lot of like a Babadook influence, I feel like, where Babadook was this allegory for depression. Lucky is an allegory for the struggle of living.
Yeah, for this artist.
Yeah. So Bria Grant is fantastic in it. I'm probably going to butcher a couple of these names, so I apologize, but Dhruv Uday Singh, who plays her husband, was also so good. Chase Williamson, people would actually know him if you watched Video Game High School. He played, Mike Pizza. He was like the big bully. He was called like the Wiz or the Killer or the Smith. He was the bully at their school with a terrible name.
I have not seen that in a while. It was good. I liked it.
So he's in it. He, like, in such a small part that is still so big, was really good. I really liked Lucky. I thought it was really good. South by Southwest 2020 Film Festival winner for, I believe, Best Horror. Don't hold me to that. I might be getting the award wrong, but it won some awards. It really deserved it. And I 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb is grossly low. Please see this film. Watch it with that view of somebody telling an emotional story, not a political story. Yeah. And I really think you'll walk away liking this one.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not gonna say that I will go out and watch it, but not because of the message. It's because I don't usually.
You don't do a lot of horror, and it's even harder because your wife also doesn't like horror at all. Yeah. Like, where you enjoy some horror, your wife does not like horror.
No, not at all. I was surprised that she was willing to watch Army of the Dead with me when I was watching it for the podcast.
Little more action, little less horror.
But to be fair, she didn't know that going in. Usually she's like, anything with the aliens, and I'm just fucking out.
Oh, yeah. Also, it's only an hour 23. So quick, easy watch. You know, you can jam through that.
Okay, fair enough. So I've been rereading The Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? And I went into this fucking spiral because I finished the first volume of The Darkness, and apparently it crosses over with Witchblade.
Yes.
And there were some references I didn't get when I started volume 2, so now I'm rereading Witchblade to get to the point so I can understand the rest of The Darkness. It's not relevant to anything else that we're talking about, but
my wife has the same compendium you do, but she's afraid to reread it because she's like, man, it's not going to hold up to the comic that it is in her memory. And her comic tastes have changed so much.
Well, not even that. Like our beliefs and our general disposition has changed so much. Like, there are some scenes in these books where I'm like, ooh, yeah, a homie would be canceled if they try to do that now.
So bleak and misanthropic, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, especially The Darkness.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. I thought it was interesting rereading Witchblade because it is the '90s version of a trying to empower a woman, but they're completely missing the point.
Yeah, I buy that.
Okay. Overall, universe is still pretty solid. Sorry, go ahead.
So the next horror, and I realized there's one more. So before you pull up the next image, there was one more that I watched. Look, this one is fun, but I'm not going to do a whole review on it. If it sounds like it's your kind of thing, watch it, though I will say it's probably not for most people. Shudder has this, I think it's kind of great, horror movie called Porn. And it's basically this small, sleepy, overly Christian town has this movie theater, and a couple of kids have their movie club. They work at the movie theater, and they're allowed to stay one night and watch a film, and as long as the film's not too bad. And they discover a hidden room in the back of the movie theater. And the movie theater used to be a porn theater, and one with like heavy satanic vibes.
Wow, okay.
And so they watch this film that apparently houses a succubus inside of the film. And so they accidentally release a succubus into the theater that then goes around and, tries to kill the kids and make them give in to their desires. Low body count, not the best acting, yet still really fun. And honestly, one of the most gory, uncomfortable scenes I've ever seen. There's a straight edge kid who she tries to seduce, and she ends up making his testicles explode. And then one of the kids has to tie a tourniquet around it, and they show all of it. They show him like lifting it out of the way and tucking the balls into place and putting the sack in and trying to tie some string. And it was so uncomfortable and so good. Yeah, it's probably a little much for some people. It's really schlocky. It's really cheesy.
It sounds super schlocky.
It is, but if you enjoy schlock horror, and you have Shudder, check out Porn. It's just called Porn.
A lot of people on the internet probably were very confused on that one.
I Googled it and I found this other thing, but I ended up watching that instead.
I got distracted and then I fell asleep.
I was real tired after it. I don't know. Made it through like 15 minutes.
All right, so you heard it here first. Watch Porn. Everybody.
And, look, if this podcast can tell you anything, it's that you should watch porn.
Yeah. I feel like if we ever get canceled, that's gonna be the
that's the one that did it.
It wasn't any other stupid shit, but all right.
The one that I really want to review, Vicious Fun. Again, not high ratings, though. So this one, not high ratings on Rotten Tomato, not high on IMDb, but on Shudder. For horror fans, this thing had pretty much 5s across the board. I only saw like 1 or 2 reviews that were less than 5.
Okay.
And he was getting people like, "Oh yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. 3 stars." Like, what? Fuck you, you turd. So Vicious Fun takes place in the 1980s, and it's about a guy who writes for a horror magazine who accidentally stumbles upon a self-help group for serial killers. But it's not self-help in that they are trying to fix themselves. It's self-help in how do we all talk about what we do and get better at serial killing.
Okay, so it's not it's more of a not a support group. It's a study group.
Kinda, yeah. I'll take that.
Okay, or a think tank.
Yeah, I mean they treat it's the hi, my name is. This is what I do. This is how I do it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
This was a fucking blast. I had so much fun. So minor spoiler, but honestly, it's 10 to 15 minutes into the movie, you get your tilt. So he goes to the serial killer group. They obviously find out he's not a serial killer, but it turns out one of the people in the group is a serial killer who is hunting and killing serial killers for some nameless organization that they don't bother to go into. I'd be willing to bet they're trying to get a sequel out of it that might better go into her organization, but he ends up hooking up with a serial killer. All of the serial killers in the group take on some sort of trope or archetype. There is the insane guy, the insane emotionless robot who is a killer clown. There is the former military guy gone nuts. There is the masked, he typically goes to summer camps and kills high school girls and leaves one around. There's the Yakuza cannibal from the Orient, all of the killers are totally archetypes of something else. everyone does an amazing job. Dave Koechner, who you might not know by name, but if you Google him, David Koechner. I've heard it pronounced Koechner, so I'm sticking with that. You would absolutely know his face the minute you Googled him. Wonderful in this. Also, Robert Mallet.
He was in The Office.
Yes, he's in so many things. He's in everything. Love him. Julian Richings, Sean Bake, Robert Mallet play the serial killers. They're all so good. And then Evan Marsh and Amber Goldfarb as the leads. And then one that was more of a this guy pull, and I was so excited, but Alexa Rose Steele, she plays two different characters in Degrassi and is the younger sister of Manny from Degrassi in real life. So some Degrassi alum coming out and just totally making my day. Plus, a guy I've never heard of and didn't get a lot of work and totally stole the show. There's a guy called Officer Tony, played by John Frey, who is just so fucking delightful in this film. His character sells so much of the movie considering how little of it he's in. If you watch this movie, watch it for Officer Tony. He is so fucking good. But yeah, vicious fun. That is the best way to describe this movie. It's so good. I loved it. I walked away so happy with it. It's totally an homage to 1980s horror while also standing on its own. Most of the acting is really good. I didn't love the main character, but I think that was more of a me thing than a him doing a bad job thing. I don't know. If anybody else watches it, let me know what you think of the lead in this, because he just wasn't selling it for me, but I couldn't put my finger on anything in particular. I don't know what it was. I love... Oh, and the last bit I will say about it that was a lot of fun. So the girl from Degrassi plays like the love interest who definitely winds up in a situation that she shouldn't be in, surrounded by the killers. And instead of just being offed, one of them sneaks up behind her all creepy, and she turns around, and when she sees him, instead of screaming and running away or screaming and tripping, she yells out, "Throat, knee, groin," and just takes the fucking guy down, because that's what you do when presented with scary shit.
Yep.
Nobody in this movie was worthless. Nobody was wasted. Yeah, across the board, it just worked. It just worked. Vicious fun. Really solid movie.
Wow. Okay. He look. He's a bit of a hipster with his movies now. It sounds like,
especially with the horror. I'm being extra critical on horror right
now. But yeah, no. That's the best rating he's given in a long time.
I'd go solid 9 or 9.5. Truly, out of 10.
All right.
Yeah.
Check it out. Also, one more episode of Loki. We'll talk about that next recording. Almost said filming, but I mean, there's a camera.
It's both. It's both.
Check us out Monday nights in 5D podcast.
Oh, are we pulling it out?
Yeah, it is time. Look at the time.
Yeah, we got like 13 minutes.
All right, talk about something else. I just put him on the spot like that.
Okay, I can do one more quick review unless you've got to go.
No, I'm good. I thought we hit everything we were going to talk about today.
One more quick one, and I'm not quite done with it yet, but coming back to horror again, I'm reading another Junji Ito book, and you know how much I just kind of fell in love with the Junji Ito stuff. Okay. I'm reading not a short story bit of his, but actually a long format story called Uzumaki.
Okay.
So in the tagline for this is basically it's a town that is infected with spirals.
And
that's how the
spirals.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Japanese horror, man. It can be as esoteric as it needs to be.
I understand. Yeah.
Though, honestly, this is a little more literal. Slowly, the people of this town realize how much spiral patterns show up. And then weird shit just starts to happen, all revolving around spirals. So, I can't really review the book without saying what my biggest problem with it is right up front. So Junji Ito, I love his short story work. This was supposed to be something he's doing long format, though each chapter revolves around a different instance of the spiral infection taking place. So really, at the end of the day, they're all short stories. There is a central character, there is a central infection of spirals in this town, but the way it takes effect is so different chapter to chapter that they might as well be unrelated short stories. But it's a lot of fun stuff, and if you're familiar with Junji Ito, it's a lot of the body horror that he is known for. There's a couple of characters who slowly turn into snails because the spirals on their shells take hold of them. There is a lighthouse that spins in a spiral, but the light becomes extra aggressive, and anybody who goes in the lighthouse at night is melted by the light that floods the entire lighthouse. There's a girl's hair starts to grow into curls until the spirals go out of control and start hypnotizing people around them. And every time she tries to cut her hair, the spirals wrap around her neck and choke her. There are a couple of star-crossed lovers who slowly begin to intertwine their bodies and spiral around each other until they dive into the sea and escape their parents. There's also a lot of madness that is just starting to take place in the town. Every time somebody dies, they're cremated, and the ashes rise into the sky in the pattern of a spiral until they sink into this particular lake. There's a character who, like, they call him the Jack in the Box because he likes to pop out of things and scare people. Like, he just kind of gets off on it, and he dies by getting hit by a car, and a spring from the car is lodged in his body to the point where his corpse starts hopping after people and chasing them down. It's all over the place. It is wild. It is filled with the Junji Ito body horror. I'm enjoying it. Again, my only problem is that it does feel like a series of short stories with a common theme that are then mashed into a long format. And I don't love that aspect, but other than that, I do think it's really fun. I am enjoying it. It is getting made into an animated series for Adult Swim. Though from I'm hoping that the trailers just aren't doing the show justice. It looks more like a motion comic than it does like a show. And I personally don't love motion comics. But again, maybe that's just the way the trailers are making it look. I will at least try it when it comes out.
Because it's hard to do something like this. Unless you're... Like,
I mean, just like you can do it just like any other anime.
Especially for Adult Swim. I feel like the body horror would be a lot harder to get past like any sort of censors.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, so we'll see when it comes out. But Uzumaki, strong recommend. Enjoying it. With that, Eduardo, I now give you permission to play us out.
Such a bitch. Check us out Monday nights 7 to 8 Pacific N5D podcast on YouTube. Also every Thursday now Bias Bros is on N5D podcast YouTube. Tuesday nights we do multiplayer night, twitch.tv/Metagame Network, and also N5D podcast on YouTube. That is 7 to 9, and then we just kind of play games. We've been playing zombie games recently. I think we've got some interesting stuff. They might be just space zombies this time, but we got some interesting stuff happening. Check that out. On that note, final words there, Bonsai.
Stop judging things for political reasons when it's not even political, you fucking Phoebes.
Bye.
Got nothing, bye!